Bop, 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 bop. Let's go. Geeks chat. We're live. We're here with Lydia Warren. I am CEO Geek. I'm here with my partner Goosey. Lydia, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Fantastic. You're coming off this pro debut, right? 1-0.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? It's your first step in the Octagon as a professional. How was the whole experience?
Honestly, it was great. I didn't feel actually it was probably the best I've ever felt for a fight. I would say like I've always been very calm before my fights, but like this one was a little bit different. I was like scarily calm before and like very like present. Whereas like the fights before I had noticed like it kind of happens and you almost like don't know what happened and afterwards you're like, hey, like what happened? That was not like that at all. Like I was there for every second of it. And yeah, it just felt like sparring almost to me. I almost had like too much fun. You know what I mean? Like I probably should just gotten to finish, but I was just like having a blast pretty much.
Yeah, that was a very dominant win over your opponent was Sydney Smith at IKON FC 3. That was kind of out there that you kind of hand selected her. Is everything that happened in that matchup kind of exactly how you saw it?
Yeah, I didn't we were supposed to fight like beforehand and then that one didn't go through, so we ended up fighting like a few months later. Um but it was more or less like it's less about the opponent, it's more about like me. And it was a good fight for me because a lot of people like know I'm a striker, but they don't know that I can wrestle. And so it was like fun for me to get like show that a little bit because I had like a few people come up to me later that like don't train with me and they just like watch me and stuff and they're like, oh, like what was that? Like they literally like we're all like, oh, Lydia's a striker, da, da, da. And then I just like wrestle and I'm like, bro, no, like I wrestle for real. Like we do a lot of wrestling at my gym. Like I train a lot of wrestling, I shoot a lot of takedowns, and that was something that I was happy that I got to like showcase a little bit more of, you know.
For
Yeah, no.
sure. Um, yeah, so you mentioned you're training hard. What's it like training with those coaches at Jackson Wink?
um my main coach is Brandon Gibson, and he's the best. I'm really blessed to like work with him because I mean he's obviously worked with like some of the legends of the sport. You know, like he works with John Jones, like Carlos Condit. He's worked with Cub Swanson, like all tons of people. So he's very experienced. It makes for an easy fight week for me. It makes for easy training for me because you know like everything that I may or may not struggle with like he's seen before. He, you know what I mean? Even when we're at the fights, sometimes like people in the back like aren't as experienced or like the commission or whatever, and he'll just tell them, no, this is how this works. You know what I mean? Just makes it for very easy. I trust him. He trusts me. You know, he doesn't work with everybody. He only works with a few fighters that he's willing to put his name on. You know what I mean? Which is great because he's not in it for the money. Because if he was, he would work with everybody. But it's like a nice relationship to have, like one on one with a good, solid coach that you trust. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it makes everything a lot easier for me, to be honest.
Yeah. And would you consider yourself like a major fan, like a fight fan? Like, do you watch all these fights every weekend? Are you like obsessing over fighting all the time, or is this kind of like on and off switch?
To be honest, like before I started training, no. I really didn't know a lot about fighting, and it's like so weird because most people, you know, they grow up either being like a fight fan or they grow up training, and like this is what they've always are just supposed to do. You know what I mean? But like with me, it was a little bit different. I was literally 19, like in college in North Carolina. And then, like, one day, I swear it was the weirdest thing. And I always tell people, like, it was just like God's plan, like fate. Because one day I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I literally was in my third year, like going into my third year of college. And I was like, you know, yeah, no, I'm good on this. And then I remember I called my mom like at 11 o'clock at night and I was like, I don't want to do college anymore. And she was just like, well, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, no, I want to be a fighter. Like, I just feel like I'm supposed to be a fighter. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, you've never trained, you've never fought. Like, I don't understand, like type thing. And I was like, no, like, this is just what I'm supposed to do. And within like a few weeks later, I had moved down here. And then like never looked back. It was just the weirdest thing. Like I always tell people, it was just meant to happen. Like I just had this feeling. I just knew like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I could not explain it. That's usually how most things go in my life. Like things happen. I'm like, nope, this is what I'm supposed to do. I can't give you an explanation for why I'm supposed to be doing this, but this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And then later people are like, oh, okay. Makes sense.
Oh yeah. Do you think that really going for it and putting your all into it has propelled you to this point in your career because you're kind of always trying to prove yourself, prove you made the right decision?
Well, yes and no. Yes, it's important to put all of yourself into literally anything you do. I always tell people, no matter what you do, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So even at, let's say you're a waitress, be the best waitress there is, be the whatever best there is, because how you do any job is how you're going to do everything. So like as far as fighting goes, yeah, like I show up for myself every day and put every single ounce of my being into it because it's what I care about. It's something I love. But like as far as anything else goes, like I just think you should do anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
100%. And speaking like you say waitress, I know you have that day job. I think you said you were bartending.
Yeah, I still
Is
do.
is that kind of getting like chaotic? Like, are you becoming like kind of like a superstar? Like people are kind of noticing you being like, yo, that's Lydia Warren.
Every once in a while I have people like come in or they'll call or they'll like come in trying to like sit with me. But for the most part it's not too bad yet. It's getting easier because now like with sponsors and stuff, like I'm not like working as crazy. I still work most of the days of the week, but like I'm not like struggling for money now at this point. Like it's getting easier to go to the job, you know what I'm saying? Plus like I'm a lot happier in my life at this point and just everything is becoming easier, to be honest.
Yeah, and another person I saw come through the gym that I have to ask about. I'm gonna get to another one too, but this one I have to ask about. Tony Ferguson, El Kukui, the guy who never goes anywhere, but late in his career, he's starting to, spread his wings. What was it like? His like energy in the gym, like what was that experience?
Tony's really nice. Like Tony's a really great person to be around. And honestly, like as far as the vibes in the gym when he was here, it was like really great. I think that like he pushed a lot of people to like want to do better, you know what I mean? Because I guess sometimes when you're in a gym and you see the same people every day, like you get the hang of it, you don't really push as much maybe. And then when he came, everyone wanted to kind of like show out. It was really funny. And then like he's a very humble person, which was nice because a lot of people that are blessed how he has been will kind of blow off a lot of people. And he literally at one point like told there was a couple of amateur fighters that wanted to take a picture with him, and he was like, okay, I'll take a picture with you guys, but you have to finish these hard rounds on the bag with me. To like some amateurs, you know what I mean? Like that could have changed their life right there. You know what I mean? Which for anybody to take the time out of their day to like really want to work with people that really can't give you anything in return is a beautiful thing. So honestly, it was great to have Tony around. I hope he comes back. I think it's great for everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean Tony Ferguson, the legend. I mean, I would love to meet that guy, rub elbows with that guy. But another legend I want to ask you about, Diego Sanchez. You have any spiritual quotes or anything that might have stuck to you hanging around Diego Sanchez in the gym?
No, not really. Um, Diego was there for a lot of the time that I've been there. He's not there right now. I did, however, just see him like a few weeks ago at the bare knuckle. He seems good. He seems in good health. Diego's always been very nice to me. It's always good to see him. But like spiritual quotes, I don't know. Not that I can recall right now, maybe.
Facts. I don't know if anything sticks. He says a lot of things that sometimes I'm just like, man, I'm gonna say that sometime. Like,
You're like, that was beautiful.
yeah, for real. All right, and then we got this big fight that just happened, Rose versus Carla. I know we're kind of skewing away from a couple things, but we're jumping around. But
No,
Rose
you're good.
versus Carla, that fight got like a lot of hatred because nothing kind of happened. What do you think? You think that they deserved like all that hate, or do you think that it was just like a tactical warfare kind of fight? Like, I'm very interested to see like what you think about that.
Honestly, I don't think anybody deserves any hate for any fight. Just because it's like, dude, just let them have their career. You know what I'm saying? Like that not every fight is gonna be like a battle to the death. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same kind of thing. Like Israel Adesanya gets a lot of hate too for his fights. But then he has one like he had with Kelvin Gaston. Like you got to chill out on these fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like not every fight can be like to the death like that. Like otherwise, their career isn't going to be very long. Not to mention, sometimes, especially when you are the champ, it's it's better to play a safer fight. Like you can't be taking all this brain damage all the time. And my whole thing is, and I fight very similar. I'm trying to hit you as much as possible without getting hit in return. And whether that's entertaining for the crowd or not, I really don't care because at the end of the day, I'm still going home alone. You know what I'm saying? Like these fans aren't sleeping in my bed with me. They're not going to be patting me on the back when I get home to my family. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to know who these people are in 40 years, but I'll know who my niece is. You know what I mean? So like as far as that goes, I don't think any fan should hate on anybody for any sort of fight, but sometimes it's better to play it safe. Like as far as that goes, I think Rose is a better fighter. I'm always going to think that. But I don't think anybody should hate anybody because a fight's boring. Like that's kind of ridiculous,
Factual.
like to take that
Absolutely.
energy out of your day.
Yeah. And where do you feel like your skills line up right now with those at the top competing at the UFC, Bellator, PFL? Where do you feel like your skills lay out right now as of this moment?
You know, I was literally just talking to my coach the other day about this because like the better I get and the more like I'm watching the other females in the sport and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I literally am the same. Like, you know what I mean? I think especially for my weight class, there's not a lot of girls that like have the punching power that I have. There's a few, but for the most part, in my weight class, there's a lot of jujitsu because it is harder to knock out because we are kind of small. So like my punching power as well as like my wrestling, I think are gonna play a huge role as I do mature in my career and fight more and more people. I think that like for the women's division, I haven't really seen anybody with the two combined.
Oh yeah. And then going off of that, you're not looking ahead, but we're talking about it. What do you think your path is to get into those goals? Like what's next for you here?
So I haven't announced it yet. I'm supposed to be fighting in November. So right now I've been in fight camp for that. I just kind of take it day by day. Usually, like I have long-term goals, but I'm not super particular on how I get there. I'm not in a rush. I don't really rush like divine timing. I think that everything for me is inevitable. So I don't really stress about that. Like a lot of people, I think, rush to the top, or the goal is to get into the UFC, and then they get to the UFC, and then they don't know what to do in the UFC. So I have my own long-term goals, and as far as that goes, you can only be as great as your biggest goal. So I have those, but the steps in between, I just kind of trust that they're going to come as they come, and I'll be prepared for them when the time comes.
All right. Yeah, we're not going to take too much of your time. We got one more question. This one comes from a fellow geek that couldn't make the interview. He's very upset about that. Very upset. He's broken.
Crying, throwing up.
Yeah, no, under his sheets, won't come out. This guy, he wants to know, have you ever had to submit, like jujitsu, submit somebody at work for acting out of hand?
I really wish I could say no. But yeah, I have actually. One
Let's
time, only
go.
one time, because I don't fight for free. I do not fight for free. There's fights all the time at my work. I never get involved. I just kind of let it happen because I just don't care. The only time I did get involved was because this grown man tried to hit one of the girls. And, like, most of the time I don't care. Like, if it's two customers fighting, I do not care. Beat each other to the death. I don't care. But if you try to hurt one of the girls, it's like, okay, now I have to. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna get too involved in the story. But basically,
Spill the beans.
yeah, I choked him out, took his chain. Nate Diaz slapped him. It is what it is. That's those. All three of those things happened to this one guy. But yeah, but for the most part, no, I try not to because I'm not.
Let's go.
not
Did you lock the hooks in?
And so I do have to get ghetto.
Did you lock the hooks in? Did you like get the body
No,
triangle?
he was just already done at this point. Plus, most people don't. You don't need to because these people don't know how to fight. These are not. Like, he doesn't know how to get me off of his neck, let alone stuff.
Actual. All right. Well, there it is. We got it. We got the story. Lydia P choking out people at work. Let's go.
Don't tell everybody that.
No problem. Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. She's Lydia Warren. Actually, you have anything you want to shout out real quick before we go?
No, not really.
Okay, perfect. She's Lydia Warren. He's Goosey. I'm CEO Geek. Thanks for tuning in. We're out. Let's go.